I knew I wanted a science major for sure, but then we had more of a conversation with Anna. Okay, what exactly something that I like, which was biology and engineering, but then I'm also definitely that health science factor. The ones that most stand out to me were obviously speech and debate. I also had that rocket science and aerodynamics club, which I loved, which is my engineering part. And I volunteered at Kaiser Permanente over the summer.
Did you know, like when you started with your counselor here at AcceptU, like this is what I wanted to study, or how was that kind of like conversation, and what was that process like of self-discovery and figuring out what your major was going to look like in the future?
Yeah, definitely. So I knew I wanted a science major for sure. So already that was like, okay, let's look at the science majors. But then we had more of a conversation with Anna. We had more of a conversation with, okay, what exactly, like, there's a lot of things. Like, biology is actually like pretty common, even for people that don't want to do science, they'll apply for biology. But I actually really liked the human biology major that USC offered because most schools just had biology. Because at USC, they have tracks. So actually, my sophomore year, I get to decide if I want to do an even more specific track in my major, which would be like human anatomy, evolutionary biology, like things that are even more specific. And I would take even more specific classes. So I kind of like that too. But yeah, when choosing like my major and what I wanted to head into, it was a conversation about like what I wanted to do in the future. And I decided that having something in the biological sciences would cover easily the prerequisites I would need if I did eventually want to get into medical school.
It sounds like you were kind of going back and forth a little bit between engineering and biology, and you ultimately ended up going more in the bio direction. What was it that ultimately helped you make that decision?
So I love also math and I took engineering classes. The only thing is, I guess I was way better at biology and chemistry. It wasn't that I couldn't do the math or I couldn't, but it just came to me like that, like way faster. And I definitely am interested in taking some math or engineering classes at USC, but I think it just came down to like, okay, what am I interested and good at as well to make my life a little easier? But I wouldn't say that now I'm like blocked off and don't want to do engineering at all. I know there's like biomedical engineering that's very popular, but yeah, that's kind of like how I chose it. I was like something that I like, which was biology and engineering, but then I'm also like better at, and it was definitely that health science factor. Yeah.
I was looking back through your profile, like you were so deeply involved in so many different things,
I
like
know.
community service, debate, sports, neuroscience club. I think I saw like rocket design. Like you were
Yeah, yeah.
like how did you, I mean, tell us a little bit more about like your activity involvement and more importantly, like how did you choose what to get involved in and balance all of this with the AP courses and everything else that you
Yeah.
were involved with?
Definitely. So I would say freshman year, the first club that I joined, but this is also the one that I did all 4 years, and definitely my favorite one was speech and debate. So middle school, which was actually our middle school is right in front of our high school. It's actually really funny. All the schools are pretty close to each other. But in the middle school, I had taken my English teacher was like, let's do a mock debate for fun. And I loved it. It was so much fun. And then we got an email like once you became a freshman, like, clubs sent out emails and they were like, is anyone interested for the speech and debate team? Like, sign up here. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to sign up because I loved it at my middle school, like the mock debate, and I loved it. It was definitely my favorite club. I did get leadership positions in it. I was definitely very committed to that. But then also freshman year, I kind of tried to join a lot of things and then slowly start saying, okay, do I actually like this? What clubs do I feel like are actually like doing things and that interest me as well? Yeah, kind of like that. And then by sophomore year, junior year, I was definitely like, okay, these are the clubs I'm sticking with. The ones that most stand out to me were obviously speech and debate. I also had that rocket science and aerodynamics club, which I loved, which is my engineering part. We built rockets and we flew them on the weekends on a farm nearby. That was like so fun for me. Like it was super fun. We tested different like I mean, these are small like model rockets. They're nothing huge, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we tested different models. If the eggs would break, like we would put eggs inside. Like it was super fun and like something very hands-on, which I really liked as well because, the whole week I would spend like reading a textbook or on my computer, and here I would like apply that knowledge, in person. So those are the two that kind of stood out to me, but I kind of had other ones too that were super interested, kind of related to science as well.
There's just something so, like, frankly, refreshingly authentic and honest in the way that you made the decisions that you made throughout high school. Like,
Thank you.
you took courses, like, that you wanted to take because they were interesting to you. You
Yeah.
got involved in activities because they were exciting and you felt like they were, like, something that you were gonna enjoy participating in. Like,
Yeah.
you did not go into high school saying, "Oh, I'm going to take like these classes and get involved in these activities because these are the classes and activities that are going to help me get into USC." Like,
No,
I
yeah,
think that like you thinking of this as like just being true to who you are is so, so important. I think it's something that a lot of students need to do more of is just thinking about pursuing their passions and their interests and knowing that in doing so, these colleges and the outcomes that they're going to see will fall into line accordingly.
definitely. Yeah, of course.
How was community service a part of your involvement as well? I'd love to kind of hear more about like what you were doing and why it was important to you.
Yeah, there was definitely so our school was kind of really helpful with that. Besides just clubs, there was always like a teacher or an event also in our community that would be like, oh, like this volunteer drive, whatever. Like, and in a lot of our clubs, we could also just easily kind of, create an event that would serve as a volunteering or community service experience. Close to the school, we had a community center, and so you could host a lot of events. And what my school did and I kind of got involved with is anything over the weekend. There was a lot of fun, like if it would be like holidays, like Halloween or things like that, there would be fun events where you would do like volunteer drives or things like that. And I would just, put on a fun costume and like be there volunteer. A lot of the clubs that we did kind of also reached out to other schools nearby, like our elementary school or just our overall community, working with firefighters, like all those like common things that people would volunteer at. So I would say our community as well, where I lived, was very open to having students and really anyone volunteer. So anytime I've heard of any event, and it wasn't necessarily something that was extremely hard, it was just like, oh, can you spend a weekend doing this? And I was like, sure. And then later, especially junior year, I was like, okay, I probably also want to start volunteering at like a hospital because not only would it give me like experience doing something with, healthcare related, but it's also something correlating with patient care. And I was like, okay, let me try having that experience that I haven't had before. And I volunteered at Kaiser Permanente over the summer. I was kind of like discharging patients, taking them to their appointments, common volunteer hospital things. But I love the patient care aspect of it, which was talking to patients and my family at home. So my parents are from Argentina, and at home we speak in Spanish. So a lot of the patients would be Hispanic families, and we would just start talking Spanish, and I would take them to their appointments, and it was really fun. It was very personal. It made their day feel a little better, understood. And I was just glad I got to, put a little happiness or something like that into their day as they went into their appointments.